I would like to talk about this important topic, the topic of this section, the artistic strategies in times of conflicts. And in my point of view, it's important because an artistic strategy in the times of conflicts, in the times of disruptions, ceases to be just the artist's strategy. It ceases to be the strategy of a distant character who has some form or some illusion of freedom of choice. The strategy in the period of conflict and disruption is both an artistic strategy and also a political strategy and a human strategy. And that's the issue that not only every artist faces, this challenge of self-determination faces each person, each citizen of Russia and Ukraine. We are in a situation which is called in the last year the situation of the return or recovery of the history. And this notion must probably cause a fit of historical optimism among avant-gardists. We are used to the fact that using the past experience, using the past tradition, which we belong to in a rather mediated way, so we're used to the fact that the recovery of history is possible. We're able to re-obtain, to recover this emancipatory, optimistic, humanistic power which avant-garde possesses. But there is another kind of going back into history, and this is the type we face today. It's going back into history, which is connected not with an optimistic, empowering collective intervention, but with a forced pushing out of an individual onto the limelight. And the artist cannot leave this limelight. The artist cannot take a step back. And he experiences angst and solitude. And just this kind of going back into history, the forced one, the return that in all previous cases and instances of such event no one is ready for. Some time ago, right here, there was a discussion with Ukrainian artists, my friends, Nikita Kadan and Lada Nakonechная, which was called Art Between Participating and Witnessing, if I remember the title correctly. The discussion took place thanks to the cancelled exhibition, an exhibition that was cancelled by its participants, who didn't see it fit at the time of exacerbating tensions between Russia and Ukraine to have an exhibition. Nikita Kadan told in this discussion that an exhibition takes place when everything is okay. An exhibition is part of the order of things that is already in the past. And all we have now is to express one's own political stance, according to Nikita, which substitutes this normalizing influence of an artist. In fact, the impression of this discussion was quite the contrary. Political stance that its participants expressed was extremely insecure, and they were afraid of realizing their insecurity themselves. They were not just witnesses. They were not complete real participants of the events, and still they felt themselves to be both. The situation between witnessing and taking part was brilliantly described by the French historian Philippe Ariès half a century ago, or even more, when he was describing witnessing as a specific type or a specific practice or a genre. Being witness, according to Ariès, is not just memoirs, a reminiscence, observations. There are no listings of motives or justifications or explanations of political acts. No, it's only what I am and how I live. The justification lies in my being and my life, because I exist and I live in this history, which is also my drama, where I love, suffer, kill, and die. We have no way of refusing this role of witness. Our speech faculties deny us. Our speech becomes blurry. And we know that the veracity of any witness may be related to such catastrophic events as the Second World War or the Holocaust. The veracity comes from the speech being jagged, stuttered, by the fact that they cannot articulate themselves in full and use all the opportunities that the speech provides to us. We simply cannot use them fully, so intense are our feelings, and the reliving this moment blocks our ability to analyze it in a distant, cold way, to analyze our place in it. Ariès wrote about people of the 20th century, and people of the 20th century are those who have survived Nazism, the Second World War. These are individuals for whom the border between the personal and the political is blurred, has disappeared. They had no way of coming back to the private space that was enjoyed unconsciously by previous generations. 20th century people are people whose private is also the historical, maybe contrary to their own desire and will. This period was defined by Hannah Arendt as the dark times, following Bertolt Brecht. Dark times, according to Arendt, are not just a period of calamities, wars, some huge external military or repressive events. Dark times are a situation in which the general light is out. It's a situation in which the public sphere disappears completely, and we can rely only on our own faculty of bringing light to something, casting light on something, a weak and unreliable light. This situation has the speech lose its power. Moreover, it's a situation in which darkness approaches and speech cannot disclose things, it obscures things. And we have witnessed this colossal devaluation of speech, which took place during the last years, when people are not just disoriented, when they are not just confused in their experiences, when people are not just clumsily using some kind of foreign, alien, distorted, inorganic and primitive politic rhetoric, but they also have no way of expressing through speech their own experience. It's this collapse of distance between the witness and the participant which was mentioned by Ariès.
So what kind of situation does art find itself in? What kind of situation does an artist find himself in? Feeling themselves very weak, this fragility, the fragility of everything that he does, and lack of reliability of their own existence. So this is the moment when the artist should or can feel something, some resource, some power that comes out of powerlessness. Because this term, the power of the powerless, is connected with Václav Havel's essay that was written back in the 70s. During the period of so-called normalization of the situation in the Czech Republic after the suppressing the revolt. So this power of the powerless should be obtained in very strange circumstances. Not a front confrontation with a dictatorship, not in a situation of totalitarian power, but when a more soft form of totalitarian power comes in its place. Havel calls it post-totalitarian form, and it's associated with consumerism. So Havel says that the contemporary society where this power of the powerless can be found is the point between the control society and consumer society. And Havel makes a very an amazing statement that this junction between the control society and consumer society, which is a reality for socialism, will be the future for the Western society. And Havel says that the Western society might reach the same combination, and they will have to obtain this power of the powerless. What is it about, according to Havel, this power of the powerless? That's what the dissidents saw their power in the Soviet Union. It's the power about telling the truth. This is the power of ethical confidence, of some ethical position which is outspoken, and it becomes a political power. So according to Havel, it's like a splash. It's like a spark. It's enough just to put this semen and to move the human consciousness, to shake it, suppressed by consumerism. And instead of this lies, you will get something else. So all those lies would collapse. And that was what the dissidents did, beginning with the 70s. And it was connected to the collapse between ethical and political. Because during the 1970s, the dissident mainstream agreed that there was no position but the personal truth that you say. And this was the highest political expression. So when the borders collapsed, the politics lost their stance. lost its glamour and shining power. So we have to look for our own resources in just obvious human things. That's what Hannah Arendt was writing about. In the situation of traumatic alienation from the world, in the situation of direct confrontation with the history, when we feel it to overtake us, that shows our powerlessness. So in this situation, only some simple manifestations, some simple human manifestations remain for us, like friendship and some other human feelings. Only those simple things remain in order to distance ourselves from what's happening. So only our own, maybe weak light remains. So I think that today, for the artist, it's very important to feel himself as a human being living in the 21st century, as a person that no longer has his privacy. And it's very important to accept the end of normality that was common for artistic scene in Russia or in Ukraine, when this normality is some kind of post-Soviet version of what Boris Groys described in his works, the representation of unrepresented. When there are some specific places outside of representative democracy, there are some gaps, some niches that could be used for representing the minorities that can get their voice, legitimate voice. So the structure of the social order that could be possible for that is now behind. So like normal exhibitions can no longer be, because any normal exhibition would imminently lead to a number of normal questions that would be outside of this small fenced area or fenced space. That is given to us through this very special type of controlled democracy that we had in Russia. So the main question for us is, how can we overcome this situation of ethical lack of acceptance in this situation where we feel ourselves closed. And this discontent caused by the actual confrontation with history, and whether we can pose this political question, whether the art can carry this utopian thought of restoring this light that should be shed on the big area of land which is in darkness, that we have in Russia, Ukraine, and maybe the whole post-Soviet area. I don't have an answer to this question. because this question could exist only beyond the boundary of those dark times. So the question of strategy becomes a personal question. But you should ask this personal question, and you should have an addressee for that. And that's where I should like to conclude. Thank you.